Okay, everyone, I'm officially back. I want to give my AFC division predictions for the 2021 season. So I want to start things off by breaking down the AFC North division. So in the AFC North in 2021, I have the Cleveland Browns finishing with a 13-4 record. I have the Baltimore Ravens finishing with an 11-6 record. I believe Baltimore is going to make the playoffs once again. I have the Pittsburgh Steelers finishing with a 9-8 record. However, I do have the Pittsburgh Steelers missing out on the playoffs this year. They won the division last year in 2020. I have the Cincinnati Bengals finishing last in the division with a 6-10 record. So let's start off with the Cleveland Browns, okay? The Cleveland Browns had an amazing offseason where they added free agents, they had an excellent draft, and this is an 11-win team from last year, a team that won a playoff game last year in 2020 under first-year head coach Kevin Stefanski. This team got a whole lot better in 2021. And obviously you have Baker Mayfield. I believe in Baker Mayfield. I think Baker Mayfield is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the NFL at this point. I think that Baker Mayfield has a live NFL arm. I think he has the it factor, the charisma to take the Browns to new heights. I believe in Baker Mayfield. You know, he's not an elite quarterback, but he can get the job done 100%. Not to mention the Cleveland Browns have a great run game. They have star wide receivers for Baker Mayfield to throw to. They have great tight ends. Like the third best tight end on the Cleveland Browns roster is David Njoku. And David Njoku could be a starting tight end for a handful of NFL teams, no doubt about it. And here's where I think Cleveland improved the most. I think Cleveland is going to have an elite defense in 2021. Okay, and spoiler alert, I think Myles Garrett is going to win Defensive Player of the Year in 2021. I think he's really, really good. The defensive line is loaded with talent, led by Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, Malik Jackson. They have depth behind those guys, and not to mention the secondary is much improved. They added to their safety group by getting John Johnson. They added Greg Newsome in the draft, a cornerback out of Northwestern. Denzel Ward is a real player. Like, Cleveland's defense is going to be really, really good. They also added Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, a linebacker that's a playmaker out of Notre Dame. I think Cleveland has a loaded roster. I won't be surprised if the Cleveland Browns win the Super Bowl this year in 2021. And also, Kevin Stefanski is a pretty good head coach. He'll be able to put all that talent together. The Baltimore Ravens. Now, the Baltimore Ravens have been suffering from a couple of injuries recently. You know, they lost, I believe, J.K. Dobbins for the entire season, their star running back. They lost Justice Hill as well, another guy that was going to potentially get some carries because J.K. Dobbins got hurt. They just recently signed Le'Veon Bell, so I do think the run game with Gus Edwards and Le'Veon Bell will be pretty solid behind a pretty decent offensive line. You know, Lamar Jackson's a great quarterback, and this is an organization that I give the benefit of the doubt to, okay? The Ravens are a well-oiled machine. They have a great quarterback in Lamar Jackson, a great head coach in John Harbaugh. They actually did a pretty good job of improving the wide receiver core. That wide receiver core is dealing with some injuries, but I think that if Baltimore gets healthy by the end of the season, this is a team that potentially could surprise some people in the playoffs. You know, the defense is loaded with talent. Baltimore was a playoff team last year. Lamar Jackson continues to win a bunch of games. I think Baltimore is going to be a playoff team once again in 2021. The Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, here's the thing. I gave the Pittsburgh Steelers the benefit of the doubt of having a winning season in 2021 because I think Mike Tomlin is an amazing head coach. And this defense has some real players. You know, Devin Bush, Micah Fitzpatrick, TJ Watt. You know, this defense did lose some players, but they're still pretty good, you know. And I think Ben Roethlisberger, if you put great talent around him, he's still capable of winning playoff games and potentially winning a Super Bowl. We saw Peyton Manning, who was horrible a couple of years ago, win a Super Bowl. But here's the thing. Look, I gave the Steelers the benefit of the doubt because they're a well-run organization, but I don't have them making the playoffs. I understand they won 12 games last year, but this offensive line really concerns me. They're going to have 4 new starters. It's a lot of moving parts on the offensive line, and Ben Roethlisberger is aging. And we saw Ben Roethlisberger last year at the end of the season the final six games, he was not very good in about 5 of them. Okay, he had a great game versus the Colts, but we saw signs of Big Ben potentially declining. Okay, so I don't know how great Ben Roethlisberger is going to be as the season wears on, especially now that we're playing a 17-game season. Not to mention the Steelers also lost Mike Hilton, Steven Nelson, Bud Dupree. Their schedule's brutal. I think that Baltimore and Cleveland just have better rosters and better quarterbacks and pretty competent coaching staffs as well. So Pittsburgh will miss the playoffs. The Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals are a team that is pretty similar to the Atlanta Falcons in the sense where they have a pretty good quarterback in Joe Burrow that has a chance to become a great quarterback one day, in my opinion. I believe in Joe Burrow. I believe in Joe Mixon. I think Jamar Chase is a dynamic weapon. I believe that T. Higgins is a really good wide receiver. I believe Tyler Boyd's underrated. Like, Cincinnati has weapons and the offense to put up some points. The problem is Cincinnati's offensive line and defensive line and their linebacker unit, it's amongst one of the worst in the NFL. Okay, so Cincinnati's really going to have to improve that defense, improve their offensive line before I really start taking them seriously. Zach Taylor is an unproven head coach that, quite frankly, I'm not sure if I'm sold on him. So we'll see if he can put all the pieces to the puzzle together, but that's how I feel about the Cincinnati Bengals in 2021. They'll win 6 games because they can score some points, but they're not a playoff threat. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juiciest Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big-time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juiciest Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.